Good evening. Since 1970, More on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday has served as WCCO's major commitment to quality public affairs programming. For the many who have turned out those programs over the years, it has been a 9-year juggernaut of long hours, too much coffee, too many cigarettes, a lot of excitement, loud arguments and belly laughs, even some moments of deep personal satisfaction. But for reasons we'll discuss later, we have decided to retire this old neon warhorse now and saddle up some new projects. Since we reached that decision a couple of months ago, we have been wandering through our dusty archives, reviewing the hundreds of programs we aired over the years, searching for reminders of our roots, our triumphs and our failures, trying to relive the sheer adventure of it all, and I think probably searching for some image of ourselves. So if you will indulge our nostalgia, we would like to use this final program to take you back with us. We'll begin in just a moment. When this program took its first steps back in the fall of 1970, it was a modest Tuesday evening monthly. Our 3-man staff was presented with a simple mandate: produce quality programs that people will watch. The details we'd have to sketch in for ourselves. Well, our original efforts were well received, and we soon graduated to a weekly status. Since then, we've bounced around the schedule and redesigned our staff, our concept, and our style many times. But one commitment has remained firm. Our job was to use film and videotape to bring the real world back to our viewers. There was no substitute for being there.
Look at your face.
We have witnessed the magical beginning of life and its sudden, hopeless end. Over the years, we have committed to celluloid a kaleidoscope of human beings living out their own particular dreams. A precocious young musician cut from the mold of Beethoven and Bach. A housewife turned novelist, discovering that life really does begin at 40. And an aging sculptor carving his last piece out of a mountain.
Give 'em the old razzle-dazzle.
We have trailed along with the celebrated as they made their brief pilgrimages to the Twin Cities.
Give 'em an act with lots of flash in it.
We recorded the unraveling of an American eccentric.
I do not ask for your respect, I demand it.
Talked history with a Nevada madam.
The first young ladies that ever came out to the western frontier were the prostitutes. Without them, we would not have had the state of Nevada.
And sliced the lives of some hometown heroes.
Oh, hello there. Do you want to learn how to draw?
Food is so good here.
How you like that, fellas?
This is the face that has launched thousands of new TCF savings accounts. His name is now a household word. Bob Lefsa.
Boy, fame sure is fleeting.
At its core, More on Sunday was always a hometown series, and we felt bound to keep a wary eye on the changes that swept through our cities. The loss of the Loring Park neighborhood to urban renewal's wrecking ball, and the specter of a similar cleansing of Hennepin Avenue. We examined the busted dreams of the Cedar Riverside complex, challenged the MTC's mass transit plans, and tried to unravel the dilemma of school closures. We made several forays into aging Stillwater State Prison to explore conditions there. We examined and re-examined the plight of our state's largest minority, the Mexican American, and attempted to shed some light on heated issues, such as nuclear power and the controversy over the wolf population in northern Minnesota. But in the pursuit of an extraordinary story, we invested the time and money to bring it back alive. We traveled to Northern Ireland to record the bleak lives of a group of children bound for a Minnesota vacation away from their explosive homeland. To the deep south on the trail of a suspected assassin, and to the Caribbean in search of a breach in Castro's sugarcane curtains. We cooled our heels in the Grand Tetons, waiting for a break in the weather to follow a band of Minnesota climbers to the summit. camped out with the staff at St. Paul Ramsey Hospital until the moment their emergency skills were put to the test. Sweated out the jury with the defense attorneys in the Piper kidnap trial.
Terrible day. No, really, I can't take much of this anymore.
Our high-rolling adventures didn't always pay off. In 1972, we raced through the Wisconsin presidential primary, returning with portraits of all the major candidates except the winner, George McGovern. Our long-sought confrontation with the suspected assassin left us still confused about his real identity.
Are you in the business of killing people for hire?
No.
And our 1976 attempt to become one of the first American television crews to enter Cuba turned into a fiasco, leaving us stranded in Jamaica without the elusive visas to Havana.
They can't go?
You got it. Why? They can't go. The Prime Minister, Fidel Castro, he talked to Fidel. The Prime Minister said at this time, it is not going to be proper.
As our fledgling Moron Tuesday began flapping its wings nearly a decade ago, it quickly began sticking its investigative nose into the people's business. We began on the consumer front, testing the quality of products like the all-American hot dog and hamburger. We investigated pricing policies of local stores and began experimenting with hidden cameras and wireless microphones to record the pitches of suspect salesmen for some too-good-to-be-true get-rich-quick schemes.
I don't have to learn how to sell cosmetics. I don't have to learn you put powder on your cheeks.
No, you don't. What would you want to know that for? You'd want to recruit people.
Those early consumer inquiries led to indictments against companies who were violating the state's consumer protection laws. And our broadcasts also generated some suits against WCCO. But the public response to our efforts soon established investigative reporting as a staple of our programming. In the winter of 1975, we broadcast the first of several programs on the new Hennepin County Government Center. What began as our concern about the lavish appointments of this taxpayer-supported structure soon turned into a full-fledged investigation of the manner in which the Twin Towers came to be built. We explored the ever-expanding scope of the project, from a modest $16 million courts building to the massive county government complex sporting a price tag of nearly $70 million. We questioned the extensive travel expenses of the board members who pushed the project and the secretive manner in which many decisions about the building were reached. Our investigation generated considerable controversy, especially among the county commissioners who responded to our charges on this program. The state auditor, a legislative committee, and a grand jury soon launched their own investigations into the matter. No indictments were returned. A year later, we found ourselves in the thick of another major controversy as we compressed 9 months of investigation into 2 broadcasts alleging that Minneapolis bar and liquor store owners were being forced into price fixing and into paying bribes to cops, aldermen, and license brokers just to buy and keep their businesses open.
But I just felt it was just a payoff, just a plain and simple payoff.
Using the testimony of former owners and bartenders, we discovered a widespread pattern of payoffs between the liquor industry and City Hall. We called for a grand jury investigation to clean up the scandal. Several indictments were eventually handed down, but most of the defendants were acquitted.
Cash payoffs? I don't know. And some city officials? Yipes! Yipes!
More on Sunday drew its most heated and intense public response when it began to peel back the layers surrounding the secrets of the human heart and spirit, to intimately examine the social mores of our time, the pressures that drove our children to drink and others to suicide. The most ferocious protest followed every effort we made to examine the sexual revolution, the seamy world of the prostitute, the excruciating dilemma of the transsexual, the backlash of men's liberation. When we announced in the fall of '73 that we would soon present an examination of the gay lifestyle, hundreds called in protest before the program even aired.
We weren't
put here as homosexuals or anything, you know, that's the way I feel. I don't know why they're that way, man, but I don't like it. Give me a gun, shit.
4 years later, we re-examined the issue, focusing on a pattern of discrimination against gays, which seemed to exist in spite of local gay rights ordinances. And we explored the rising opposition of fundamental Christians, whose political organizations had begun striking down gay rights laws across the country. This approach, and the now infamous scene of Anita Bryant being plied by a Minneapolis gay activist, drew by far the most public response to any broadcast in our 9-year history. We scheduled some special debates on the issue and followed the story closely until St. Paul voters overwhelmingly repealed their gay rights ordinance last spring. All of that was the solid core of our attempt to enlighten our audience about the world we found in the 70s. But we also found ourselves lusting for adventure and a few laughs. That part of our review is coming up. The emotional and intellectual demands of producing heavy investigative pieces was sometimes just too much for our producers and cameramen, and so periodically, in search of relief, they'd hit the road looking for the simplicity of a raw, physical adventure.
From old Montana down to Alabama, I've been before and I'll travel again. You tribal women can't keep a good man.
More on-Sunday crews have crisscrossed this country, riding the rails across the northern plains, hitching a ride on a Mississippi steamboat bound for the Gulf, chasing the white line to the New York Island, to Bourbon Street, and the golden Pacific, in search of beauty and danger, recording the adventures of Americans pushing back the limits of their lives.
4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages.
It was not often my good fortune to tag along with the More on Sunday traveling cinematic circus. The boys seemed content just to use me as bubble gum to stick it all together. But on those days when the latest investigation had hit a dead end, or it was too cold to go anywhere, and with the deadline pressure building, I could hear the murmuring starting in the staff's basement bunker. Well, there's always Dave. Yeah, if we could just get Moore to do it. Oh, sure, he'd do it. And it seems he always did. Now, admittedly, there were a few brief, shining, glamorous moments when the staff would pull out all the stops, even a few fans, and the rare, meaty part, just to give the old trooper a Thespianic thrill. Good evening. Tonight, we shall entice you with a tale of international intrigue. The story set on the steamy islands of the tropics. And there was the weather. No big blizzards up here in the icebox this year. We only had 16 inches of rain, and more sunshine than we ever did have. It was enough to give a man a permanent thirst.
And now here's Santa.
Open his mic and cue Santa.
Oh my, there certainly are a lot of you out there today. I see Sally and Ricky Johnson of Bloomington. Take care of that cold, Ricky. There's Durkee Brand of St. Louis Park. Nasty fall on the pond yesterday, Durkee. You better be careful next time, eh?
Well, what do you know? He's not half bad.
Dignity and high drama were the exceptions. Mostly, I found myself the victim of some hyperactive producer's surreal imagination. No, that one stays on. Too bad.
Now then, sing ho for the life of a bear. Sing ho for the life of a bear. I don't much mind if it rains or snows, because I've got a lot of honey on my nice new nose. I don't much care if it snows or it thaws, because I got a lot of honey on my nice clean paws. Sing ho for a bear.
Fiery host with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty
Happy New Year!
The son of bedtime news.
And every New Year, you could count on a disgusting outbreak of total insanity when the staff insisted on still another resurrection of the son of the all-new born-again bedtime news. That stupid show ran for nearly 10 years. I took more abuse from that stupid show.
Now your host for the stupid show, Dave Moore.
Boy, look at all that water. You know, dum-cha, 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 dum-cha.
Right. Guy Lombardo.
The second dum-cha, I popped right out.
Sadat tells Big and up yours and goes home.
What the hell? Huh? Sure.
Good evening. I'm Dave Moore.
Hi, Al Austin Moore here.
And we're not related. I mean, you get 8 million of those kind of people in one spot. You're going to have trouble. Oh, this will never work. Well, I still think it's a dumb idea.
Are we all done?
Yes, we're all done. That is the way it was.
Wir Würfels.
For the More on Sunday staff, the producers, writers, researchers, production assistants, camera people, and editors, and for me, the 9-year run of this program has been a very special experience. We were handed some exceptionally free reins to produce this series as we saw fit. And that freedom was the fountainhead of our pride and creativity, and it sustained us through the long, grueling hours it took to produce many of these broadcasts. From this side of the camera, it's always been very difficult to accurately assess the impact and the role our efforts have played in this community. At best, I suppose we were no more than explorers, kind of poking around in some of the hidden and obscure corners of life, trying to find and extract new information, new insights, and always, of course, looking for the good story. Well, it's become a lot tougher to do that in the past few years, because we seem to be living now in a very subtle, a very complicated age. Most of us are aware of the problems that confound us, but we are very hard-pressed to understand why they exist, and more importantly, how to solve them. So we've come to believe that our future role lies in shedding light and promoting an understanding of the social, the scientific, and economic systems which have gone awry and are affecting the quality of our lives. Well, to do that, we need more time to understand the problems. We need a longer format to present our findings to you. During this past season, we have devoted much of our energies to producing a series of hour-long documentaries and town meeting discussions on some of the more pressing and complicated problems of our day. For instance, in December, we explored the impact television has on our lives. In February, we took a comprehensive look at our energy dilemma. In April, we examined the stresses and strains that press on the lives of today's teenagers. And then this Thursday evening, we're going to air our exploration of the aging process in the world of our senior citizens. The More on Sunday staff will now begin to devote all of its time to developing similar projects for next season. In September, this department will also begin broadcasting PM Magazine at 6:30 each weekday evening, where you will find many of the exceptional people, the wild adventures and sheer zaniness that has always been a part of More on Sunday. And during the summer months, we will have a long goodbye as we rebroadcast the best of our programs from the past 9 years. More on Sunday has enjoyed a long and healthy run, and we're all very proud of our association with it, but we also recognize that change is an inevitable part of this industry. And so while we're looking forward to the new challenge of next season, the passing of this tradition does bring with it some momentary twinges of sadness and grief. And so it is with us. I'm Dave Moore.